Hi, folks. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Welcome to the Human Rights Campaign. Hi. Hi. I'm Tori Cooper, and we have two amazing couples joining us today. So stick around. They're going to be joining in just a second, and you all are in for a treat today. Hello, Ultra Bellum. Hi, Carlos Alfredo. Hi, Basic Method. I love that. Hey, Luna, Anise, Chloe. Greetings, Mexico. Hello. I love this. Yes, keep it coming. Okay, let me see. How do I add folks? Because you all don't want to miss this. All right, yeah, we've got some amazing conversation coming to you in just a few minutes. Hey, Atlanta Lioness, why don't you join us on camera? Hi, SSN Frank. Hi, hey, couple.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Can you see us both?
Oh, yes, I can. I don't think folks know how much of a treat it is to get a double dose of the Turners today.
Yes, we are happy
Hello,
to be
Matt
here.
from the Barbados. Pleasure to see you. Awesome. Let's see. We're waiting on two more folks. And then we're going to get right to it. Hello, Essentially Tim. Hello to you as well. You see all the wonderful folks are saying already about you.
Oh, hey everyone. I love all the love. How y'all doing? I'm happy to be here today, girl. When I tell you I have been going through the worst case of laryngitis ever, but I'm back in the game. So I'm
Come
happy
on
to
back
be
in
here
the
for this.
game. We love it.
Yes, it's getting better every day.
Yes. Hey, Blossom. We're always excited to see you, beautiful.
Oh, hi, Blossom. Positive vibes, virtual hugs. Yes to you all. This is amazing.
It is amazing. Come on in the room, please. I always see people say like and share. So like and share. Because you all are in for a treat with a great conversation today. Hi, American Prince. Kaylee Sweeney. Pleasure to see you.
Excuse me.
That's all right, girl. Hey, gay narrator. I'm the trans narrator. Nice to meet you. All right. Well, while we're waiting for our other two guests, why don't you come in and why don't you both tell folks who you are, what you do, and where you do it?
Sure. Well, I will go ahead and start. I am the lioness, Samaya Turner, on the ones and twos, giving all of y'all the blues this afternoon. I hail from Columbia, South Carolina, but I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am an advocate, a thought leader, and the executive director of TILT, which stands for Trans Individuals Living Their Truth Incorporated. I also am privileged to be able to be a host of two podcasts. One called The Lioness Still Lives, Conversations with the Black Trans Goddess, and the other Sassy Southern Sisters podcast, celebrating culture within a cosmopolitan community. And that is with my good girlfriend, Toya Washington, who I think is watching today. So hey, everyone.
Hey. Speaking of which, we're going to have Toya on one of these things too.
Yes.
One of these trans talks. So welcome. So Tierra, tell us a little who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
I'm Tierra Turner. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, or actually a small little town called Eatonville, Florida. I'm 45 years old. I'm the husband of Samaya. We've been together 12 years.
12 years.
12 years in August. Married for 8 years in August. And I'm in the sciences as far as profession. And my hobbies include sci-fi and playing with my dog, Carolina.
Thank you. And yes, don't tell folks where you work, Tia. Do not tell them where you work. Right, because you and I both know. Yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for our other two guests, let's get it started. Let's talk a little bit about your love story. Because today, what we're going to do is we're going to have a trans talk that's different than a lot of others. Certainly, we're going to talk about trans-amorous relationships, but we're also going to talk about your love, how you all came to be, and what other folks. I'm a Black trans woman, child, and dating is not easy. It is not easy.
No.
So tell us a little bit about your story.
No, I'll let you start. I always start. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I would say our story began back when we first, I would say we didn't actually meet, but we encountered each other on the campus, on a college campus. She was an undergrad. I was working on a graduate degree. And, you know, we had eyes for each other, so to speak, but our situations were not aligned for us to get together like that. So through, what was it, through friends?
It was through friends. Well, no. So let me tell you, several people attempted to hook us up over the years, and we never actually connected. I had a coworker that was trying to hook me up with him randomly, a coworker that I knew from DC. I had another friend of mine that was randomly just trying to suggest it, and so it was like, you should meet this guy. Everybody's telling me I should meet this guy. Now, I didn't know it was the same guy that I had met on campus all those years previously. Fast forward, I even stood him up on a date once. I did. We were supposed to go on a date, and it was a blind date, and we were supposed to go, and he said he was going to cook me spaghetti dinner at his house.
She missed out.
Whole word. I don't, yeah. I felt like that spaghetti was gonna lead to some other meatballs.
Yeah, he was gonna give you the noodle, all right.
Yeah, he was trying to give me some noodles, girl.
She likes my meatballs too, so I don't know what the problem is.
Wait a minute. So anyway, we ended up having this what we called a friend date. I stood him up for the one time for spaghetti, but we met up Labor Day weekend 2010. Labor Day weekend 2010. He hit me up, girl. I didn't have nothing else to do. And, you know, that's the weekend where the girls turn up. So I was like, well, I'm not going to end this weekend without my turn up. And if this nice gentleman wants to take me somewhere, I'm going to let him. And so we went, and he took me to a park, a state park. And
she thought I was just going to take her to, you know, Piedmont.
Right. No. So he said, so mind you, I'm in Midtown. He hits me up from the Midtown area saying, we're going to go to the park. He takes me to this national park, and we go in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And I'm thinking, oh, girl, he finna get you. This is it, bitch. This is it. He finna get you. But it ended up being a good conversation, a good time. And from there, we went to go have wings. And then from there, we went to the movies. 2 weeks later, we moved in, and we've been together ever since.
Oh,
that's how it happens.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. He didn't kill you.
He did not kill me. But girl, I don't advise no girl to go with a man they don't know in the woods. But it worked out for me.
It worked out. It worked out.
And I would advise guys to think about the safety of the woman they're dating in a more.
Because he said if he could go back again, he wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, because I didn't even think about how creepy that would be to just take this woman outside the confines of the city and everybody she knows. And I just thought I was, you know, doing something different.
So that brings up an interesting conversation. Thank you both for sharing that too. What I heard you both say is that you thought of your first date, even though it was a friend date, you thought of it differently. One of you thought about protection and one of you didn't, in part because of maybe experience, stuff that you had already heard about. Also, I know Sebastian is trying to join. So Sebastian, request, and I can add you then. And the same thing for your wife. Hopefully you can hear me. So yeah, so it's interesting because we hear things differently. Men and women, we hear things differently.
Definitely.
Trans and cis people, we hear things differently.
For
All right.
certain, for certain.
So tell us a little bit more about how you knew that the other person was the one.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. That story sounded cute, like we knew, and it was just a neat, tight in a bow, but I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest and say that when we first moved in together, that first 2 weeks, it wasn't like that was the plan. The plan was, like a lot of trans women, I was in slightly unstable housing at the moment, and my plan was my apartment was supposed to be ready, and they had given away the apartment that I had put down the down payment on. They were renovating a complex. It was a whole thing, but I had to wait for the renovated unit to be ready. And so I moved in with him under the guise of, well, I'm gonna just stay here temporarily. I know I don't know you, but I don't really know too many people, and I'm gonna just stay with you until until I can get into this apartment. And then, after the time for the apartment came, he didn't want to leave, and I didn't either. But I think it was one of those situations. When we approached it, I took it one day at a time. I knew that I was not in a position to just healthily make a decision to be in a relationship. And very early on, we didn't start in like this, you're my boyfriend type of situation. We very much allowed ourselves to be friends first. And even though we were living together, we even refrained from intimacy for quite a while in the beginning, just because me personally, didn't want to feel like I'm in your house and I have to have sex to be here. Does that make sense? Like, that was important for me.
Girl, you good. Because I've seen you. No offense. I've seen your husband. His bones would have been jumped. The spaghetti and the meatballs. And Tierra, I've seen your wife. The bones would have been jumped.
But I didn't let her go. So you know how that goes.
Right. He was willing to wait, and I was willing, and I respected that. And here's the reality. The reality of it is I'm not a girl ordinarily I was not a girl that would make people wait. But in this moment, I wanted to try something different because I really liked him, because it was so many almosts before we started dating. I really wanted this to be a valuable thing, and I didn't want to just have sex. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like we didn't enjoy each other's company, but we didn't actually have sex until I was sure that it was like, okay, I really want this, not because I'm just doing it to do.
Awesome. And thank you, because so for hey family. We're gonna have you two introduce, because we don't want folks to just think they can just jump on here any second.
Right.
But we're gonna have you introduce yourself. But we sent text messages to each other before this about sex and how we're gonna broach the subject of sex. So thank you for bringing it into the conversation. We're gonna talk a little bit about sex in a way that is appropriate and doesn't diminish who you all are as individuals, and also doesn't get too deep into your business. Is that all right?
We trust you, girl.
Yeah, because as trans people feel that it's their job to ask us about sex and our sex and how we have sex and with whom we have sex. So we're going to address some of that a little later. But first, we have another couple here. Please introduce yourselves, beautiful people.
Sure, I'll let my queen go first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandy Hennington Smith. I'm amazing. I'm beautiful. I'm creative. And I love Sebastian. There you go.
Well, thank you. I am Sebastian Smith, pronouns he, him, and king. I go into the work mode. My day job is organizing director at the National Center for Transgender Equality. This is my night job.
Did you peep the upgrade to the title? Because he was saying the old title, but then God was good. Okay, go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
And we're just happy to be here today. This is my wife of going on 6 years now. We have been together for almost 12 or 13 now. Yeah, so this is my life partner here, and we're happy to be sharing space with you all today.
Absolutely.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you all. And apparently 2009 and 2010 was a good year for trans folks in relationships.
Yes, yes.
Oh, my gracious.
Yes.
I was in one then too. All right. So we talked to Tierra and Samaya a little bit about how they met and how they got together and how their relationship started and what made them know that the other was the one. Will you all share a little bit about that with the folks also?
Absolutely, sure. I'll start. Nobody can hear you.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'll start. So, Brandy and I have the fortunate ability to have relationships within the broader LGBT community. So we participate in many other avenues, events, and projects. Both of us are really, we're really head deep into the pageantry world, into pageantry world. Both of us have amassed many titles between the two of us. Yes, yes, yes. So we crossed each other's path in that way. We actually won a pageant together, even though the pageants were held on two separate nights. I was crowned her king, and she was crowned my queen, and we were thrust into each other's lives that way. We became very good friends. Both of us were in relationships of our own, and we navigated friendship for the most part of that, and then for years navigated friendship, very good friendship, and then it happened where both of us, got out of those relationships and started talking more personally and more one-on-one about our goals and what life is like for each of us. And, from there grew a romantic attraction. You know how when it's somebody that's consistently a part of your life, be it a friend, you tend to, start to have different feelings for that person, especially when they start to show up for you during some of the most difficult times in your life, that you didn't ask for them to show up in that way. And this amazing person did just that, showed up for me in a way no one else had showed up for me, and I just did not want to lose that friendship or that relationship. So that's brought us to where we are today, and so I would definitely attribute a lot of our the beginning of our relationship to just our roles in community and just us being in community and doing pageantry, which is something that we still really, really love. So, I don't know if you had something to add.
Y'all remember the line from Deliver Us from Eva, where Gabrielle Union says, "And then we burned a hole in the sheets." So, yeah, I'm silly. Yeah, he is so professional. God bless his soul. I'm silly. But yeah, all of that is true. And then also, we were magnets. Once we addressed that, you might actually be a cool individual to hang out with, to spend time with. Girl, I couldn't wait. We couldn't wait, and we had a great time. But I'm so glad we were just about to be 30-ish, I think. And we both had that conversation, like, look, I'm about to be 30, You playing games or not? Because I don't have time. I got other things to do. I got a mortgage to pay. I got bills. I gotta go to work. I ain't got time. And so we were just very clear about when we were just dating, about when we were just having sex, about when we were more than that, about whether or not we were interested in it was just very clear and open communication. And that is what did it for me. Being able to just be myself and be honest about whatever we needed from each other. Yeah, he stole my heart and my panties. So there you go.
I love to hear it. And I heard both of you talk about communication in different ways and how that was really, certainly there was attraction, but both of you identified that you started your relationship off with lots of communication. You talk to each other and other people talk to you about your partners. And I think that's really important too, because communication takes you a long way and it gets you through a lot of those rough times.
Absolutely.
So speaking of communication, so I figure it's good to get to this down so we can leave folks on a high note. But I do want to talk a little bit about interpersonal violence. And we know that at the Human Rights Campaign for the last 2 years, we've reported record numbers of trans and non-binary folks' deaths. Mm-hmm. And all of us that work in this field, that work in this industry, that do advocacy work, we know that the numbers are probably much, much higher than we are aware of. Quite often, in most cases, trans people are killed by cis people. And they're killed by people that they had some kind of relationship. Sometimes it's relationships that were like yours, where they were in relationship, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and boyfriend, girlfriend and girlfriend. Sometimes they were folks who were just hooking up or knew each other on social media, but they knew each other somehow. So what can we offer to folks who are in relationship so that they feel safe? What words of encouragement that you give to folks who may be dealing with some type of interpersonal violence?
I think for me, two is identifying what is violence. Like what is violence, what's abuse, what's trauma related, what's triggering, and unpack all of those things, right? So if you misgender me in a relationship, that's abuse. That's violence. If you purposely misgender me in the heat of an argument, you're really telling me what you think. You're really telling me how you feel and that you do not understand it, right? So that is also a form of abuse. And we have to affirm our community folks and our trans folks to recognize that, to recognize those red flags, to recognize those triggers in the beginning. And also, like I've learned too, I'm from the South, you know, I'm from country. It'll come out in a minute. I was also learned that you get affirmed at home, right? So a lot of our trans people don't have folks to affirm them. It's us as community members to affirm other trans members and say, you are amazing. And anybody that does not want to share space with you does not deserve to be in your space anyway. We do not have to compromise. We do not have to dummy ourselves down or hold ourselves back. Brandon and Tierra are amazing examples of people who will love us in our authenticity. And I think it's really important for those of us that are trans that have had that privilege or have that privilege to have partners like that, talk to other folks and remind them that you too deserve that. You deserve that. You don't have to put up with crap from just so you can have love. You know, so we have to really continue to affirm folks in that, you know, and that's my message to folks too, is that you deserve love. You don't deserve someone to beat up on you. You don't just because of who you are.
If I can add
Thank
to that,
you.
I think
Hey, Shea Diamond.
I want to speak from my perspective as the partner, somebody who I consider myself to be an ally and a partner of a trans person. I was just having this conversation on a call at my job. We were on a Zoom, and they were asking about, you know, getting out of your comfort zone and what does that require? And everybody had all these corporate answers that sounded really great, right? But I brought up Sebastian, and I said, you know, there are things in life that if you ask me, I will never do. But if I'm with him, I'll do it. And I had to ask, why is that? And it's because I'm about to cry, I'm sorry. This is my safe place. And so we went on our honeymoon, and he's gearing me up to go horseback riding in the ocean. Now, I can't swim a lick, okay? I start crying in 3 feet of water, and I'm 5 feet tall, okay? But I got on that horse, and I rode my butt in the ocean because I knew that I had an advocate. I knew that if something happened to me, he was going to say, hold up, everybody stop. We got to find my wife. Something is wrong. And I think that that's so important because when you create a safe space for the person you love, they can be who they are, right? And they don't have to worry about being hurt and cut and abused and violence against them. Then they can focus on all the other things God put them on this earth to do, right? And so I'm so grateful that my husband can say that he feels loved, right? And that he can navigate this world doing it what it is that he needs to do because he knows he can come home to safety. He knows he can come home to love and appreciation. And that looks different to some people. Sometimes that looks like me telling him, you know, you don't got to go if you don't want to. Sometimes that means I just said that to, you know, you don't got to go. You know, you don't have to say that. You know, you don't have to show up because self-care is just as important, if not more important than my favorite line from Tori is, an empty jug don't give no water. I say that all the time. And I always say, and Tori said it. Okay? So I'm so grateful that I can hear him say that. That means I'm doing my job. You know, loving him in a place that he doesn't have. That's one thing he's never going to have to worry about. Is if he's moving forward, it's because I got his back.
Amen.
Kisses.
No.
Oh.
So what I heard from that, I gleaned a lot of stuff from that. Thank you both for sharing that. But I also heard an emphasis on safety and how it's important for both people. Because you didn't say, as the cis person in your relationship, Brandy, you didn't say I had to create a safe environment for him. You said he made it safe for me.
Right.
That was amazing. And I also heard that love is at the center of all of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that was really powerful. Thank you both for that. Samaya, most of the trans folks that we report on, they have lives that are similar, certainly to me and to you. Tell us a little bit about you two as a couple. Tell us what it's like to continually hear and have to talk about, you're executive director of TILT, to have to talk about these stories and what it means for you as a Black woman of trans experience to have to continue to tell these stories.
So it's so interesting that we're having this conversation, and I understand and I can affirm a lot of the same things that they were sharing about each other. I also I also am glad that you asked me the question in the way you did, because I feel like there's an additional piece in here for us holding space for, like you said, violence that is not just physical, but also the violence of having someone tell you that you are responsible for how other people see you, that you are responsible for how everyone's going to see them, that you are responsible for the learning curve that they are going to have to go through to be with you. I believe that a lot of times people will say they want to date trans people, but they are not informed in the real reality of what it is to date someone that is living a life that may not look traditional in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't begin their transness with, no loose ends. They come with baggages, they come with families, that they come with children, they come with all these other factors that I feel like are things that you should know. But one thing I wish somebody would have told me is that abuse is not just physical. So then I was in a lot of relationships where I was made to feel inadequate because I have to be responsible for how your cousin gonna feel. I have to be responsible for how you are going to make me, how my passability. I have to be concerned about how I'm going to integrate into your workplace and whether or not you're out with your work people. And a lot of those barriers kept me in toxic relationships for far longer than they needed to be, because I was with somebody that wasn't fully comfortable with the reality that they may not be able to neatly check off a heterosexual box. And I feel like because we deal with that all the time, we forget that our partners are supposed to be our safe space, which is why I love that y'all talked about that. Because I am happy to be able to say that when I come home, I don't have to worry about dealing with somebody that is shaken at all by the world, by what his mama thinks, by what anybody in our me, and he's shown over the years that it's me and him against the world, come hell or high water, 10 toes down to the wheels fall off. And that to me means more than I feel like a lot of the big grand gestures and a lot of the things that I went through in some relationships that were with men that were more flashy, but who offered me nothing, absolutely nothing by the way of spiritual and mental stability. And I feel like when we talk about trans women and we talk about the violence and the increases in violence, part of that is due to we have been fed so many toxins of that about ourselves that we begin to eat it and feed it and believe it. And then in our partners, we allow that, to lack of a better phrase, we allow this kind of, I don't want to curse on here, but we allow this kind of timid spirit that in our lives, because we think we're accommodating some man. But to be honest, what I'm grateful is that I have found a man that lets me know that those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind.
That's good. That's good. And may I also add, there is a difference between compromising and giving in. There's a difference between compromising and what was the word that you just used that with a C? Accommodating. That starts with an A. There's two C's in it. And there's a difference in that because one is where you're both working together towards an end goal, which is what you two are doing. You four are doing, you two couples are doing. And then there's another where as the trans person, we are expected to give up so much we're expected to give up our history and as cis people, you're expected to give up your whatever, the view that people have of you simply because of who it is that you're in relationship with.
Right. And I want to hold space for for partners too. You don't have to call me out of my name or misgender me to make me feel insecure in my gender because of your insecurity in who you are. That's all I want to say.
That's good. That's good. And I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you all so much for that. All right.
Add one thing. I think it's important to note that doesn't mean that there's an expectation of perfection, right? We're human beings. We're going to mess it up. There are some things that I've said that I look back, I'm like, oh God, you should have broke up with me when I said that. You know, like, eesh, what was I thinking? It's not to say that the bar is so high that it's unattainable, but that you should, the expectation should be, are we, like you said, are we working towards this together? What's the goal? And that's why the communication portion of it is so important, because if we can both communicate what the goal is, then you can identify that this is not characteristic, you know, this statement or this one-off behavior isn't necessarily characteristic of what you know is in my heart. And then you can have a conversation with me about, you know, when you said that, I felt this, you know, and we can have that conversation and we can talk about it. And you can give me the opportunity to learn and grow. But specifically regarding violence, we're talking about the intentional misgendering, or the intentional not allowing your partner or spouse to take up space the way they show up in the world, right? So when Sebastian first started transitioning, he was sexy, don't get me wrong, but he presented as a stud, what we understand to be a stud in Atlanta. If you don't know, ask somebody. So, you know, he didn't have all of this sexy beard and mustache, you know, that's not what he presented at the time. And so there was a physical transition that took place, like you said, that impacted how my family received him, how the people I know at work received him. And so there's a certain level of addressing I will do, but not an explanation, right? Because it's not your business. So I just think that I just wanted to touch on the fact that the expectation is not perfection, but being willing to be stretched and to grow and to learn one another in the best way possible.
That's really good, because some of us don't feel empowered to say it's not your business.
Yeah.
This is simply who I'm with.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, I love to tell people, get your head out of my crotch unless I invite you there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if I invite you, it's all yours.
Yeah.
Do what
But
you
otherwise,
will.
it's not your business.
Correct, but otherwise, it's not your business. Thank you for that, Brandy. Thank you all of, because that was good. And my old ass almost cried because I felt so deeply what it is that you all were saying. Come on, Tia, I see you want to say something.
Well, I'm just saying that part of creating a safe space is creating those safe spaces outside of just the space between you and your partner. Also. So one of the earliest things I did was start introducing her to my friends and family, and recruiting allies within my community, as far as melding it together and having them to get used to us showing up together as a couple, you know, and not allowing or tolerating any kind of disrespect. You know, using my cachet, whatever respect they had for me, to shield and extend it to the woman I love, to make sure that she got that respect as well.
That's good, because if they don't respect her, they don't respect you.
Right.
And to you, Brandy, if they don't respect him, they don't respect you. And that goes both ways. So that was awesome. We're almost out of time. We have maybe about 7 minutes left. I know, because this isn't a full hour. So the people at HRC don't think people would stay in and stay tuned for an hour, so we cut it less than an hour. But
Means we got to do
probably
it again.
want to continue this conversation.
Like a part two.
Part 2 works for me. Look at Blossom. I saw that. So there are a lot of young folks. I'm the eldest of everybody that's on this call. And so for folks who are young, who are wondering if this is possible, because these are just two examples of relationships, what relationships could look like, because relationships can look any kind of way that you want to. We want people like Zaya Wade to look at love, in this case Black love, and see it for herself in the future. Mm-hmm. We want folks we want all kinds of folks to be able to look at these and see that it's possible.
Right.
So how about you two as couples, perhaps as individuals, however you want to do it, give the folks something that they can look forward to. And if you all have dated trans people before your current partner, or and that there are four of you, because it could be that Samaya has dated a trans person or Sebastian has dated a trans person. I would be interested to hear if either of you has dated somebody trans before, because that in itself brings up a different set of issues. Sometimes it means that you have to readjust how you think about manhood or womanhood. And then give a positive word to somebody else.
You want to go first? We'll go first. So I personally have not dated a trans person before. I think we are super beautiful, amazing, and I would, if Brandy decides, I'm just playing. But I think that we both, just being honest, I think we have both learned that sexuality is on a spectrum, and that we both look at it on a spectrum as well, and that we all tend to move up and down. Well, not all, those of us who subscribe tend to move up and down that spectrum. And we have, even in my own transition, I have transitioned also in the way I view sexuality, the way I view queerness, the way I view just sex in general. I'll be honest and say that I have transitioned the way that I've thought about that and have grown a lot in that area. So those type of relationships are not deal breakers for me if I was not married to the love of my life. Those type of relationships would not be deal breakers for me, and I would definitely, because I feel like we're the most amazing people in the world, so why wouldn't I want to open myself up to be loved by someone who's like me? So I have not had the amazing opportunity to date someone who is trans. Brandy has, so she can attest. Me, just me.
Yeah.
Just me, Tori.
Oh, I was gonna say I never even knew that.
Just me.
Yeah.
Just me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would just add that absolutely Sebastian's the only person of trans experience that I've ever dated, but similar to his explanation, my understanding and view on gender, sexuality, all of that has expanded drastically in the last 13 years. And I would definitely say I'm in a place now that, God forbid, this didn't work out, which, till death do us part, even a dog gotta die. Okay. If this didn't work out, I can definitely see me being open to dating people. And that's not necessarily the thought process I had in my 20s, in my early 30s. Even when I met Sebastian, again, he presented as a stud and told me 3 months into us actually dating, hey, this is something I'm going to do. And it wasn't like, do I have permission? It was more like, this is something I want to do, and I'd like for you to be along for the ride. Let me know. Like that. And I was like, I had no idea what I was saying yes to, but I loved him already. I was so down with him that I've always told him, you could be an elephant on the moon and I will buy the astronaut suit if that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in him as a person so much that it didn't really matter to me, but I've grown to understand how much of it is part of who he is. So yeah, I'm definitely open to that if I didn't have the love of my life.
And I think the one positive thing that we want to leave folks with is just recognizing that we're deserving of love. Like, this trans thing is just an experience. I say it all the time. Like, if you ask me the top 10 things that I am, trans probably wouldn't even be on that list, because I'm so many, and we are so many amazing things outside of being trans. Like, do y'all know how freaking awesome Tori is, like, as a person? outside of being trans, like being her when I know we got you. We're gonna take care of that. Right, exactly. Do y'all know how awesome she is? How awesome all of us, Samaya, Tierra knows, but how awesome Samaya is, like we are amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. And I want us too to embody that for ourselves and live and walk in that excellence. So that's just our positive, kind of leaving behind that we're all worthy. Like all of us are amazing folks outside of our transness, inside of our transness, and we're not just trans people. We're humans living a human existence, and we just happen to have this other path this other experience or path that we're walking. But you all deserve love, and I love you. I love you. No one else has told you today that you're loved, or this week you are loved. You are.
I want to say for me, so I have not dated another trans person, and that's just purely not because I haven't. I would date another trans individual. It's just I haven't met a trans. Definitely a trans man, but I haven't met anyone before I met my husband. So we're here now, So I'm locked in. However, I will say that I do believe that a lot of even not even just my sexuality, but a lot of even the way I felt the need to express myself as a woman very young in my transition was based on what other people told me girls are supposed to be like. And so then you embody all of these ideals. And then I find that my experience, at least, and those of my friends that I know that are trans, you initially take on all of it, and then you figure out what is toxic, and you start putting it down, and you start realizing what works for you and what doesn't, and you realize that you don't neatly fit in boxes. And so, just like my identity will never neatly fit in some cis hetero box, I feel like my sexuality is that way as well, and I'm very proud of that. And I think that was something that I would not have been able to say maybe even 5 years or a decade ago. So very happy about that. But I want to, I guess I want to say, for those of you that are in relationships that are dealing with someone that is trans, I think it is important to know that you're dealing with a being that has embraced the changes, the fluxes in our personality that some people ignore. So then you're dealing with a being that may not be willing to fall in your neat box. But I'm talking about particularly for men dating trans women or trans femmes. There's this idea that womanhood, that femininity is supposed to be soft and demure and a size 5'2" with a little shoe. And I want you to know you dating trans women. Okay, and we are boisterous and we have big personalities and we come with warrior spirits because we've had to fight and we've had to argue and we've had to survive. And those things make us beautiful because we're also beings of joy and laughter and light. And I feel like we talk about the bad things that happen to trans women and we talk about them having to fight for things, but we often don't talk about their joy. Trans women are some of the most spirit-led women that I've ever been around. Trans women are some of the most sweet and generous people that I've ever been around. And I feel like that doesn't get told when we talk about dating us. We always talk about the issues, but we don't talk about what is the benefit. So I just want to put that out there. What are your thoughts, babe?
So as far as myself, I guess I'm the only panel member that has dated trans before. I've been in 2 previous long-term relationships with trans women. I've dated casually before. And I would just like to, dating, trans women are women. Women come in a panoply and a myriad of different forms, fashions, attitudes, ideals, standards. So as has been previously stated, the state of trans is just one facet of of a person, and it's usually not the most important part of that person. Getting to know that person is the most important part. Understanding if you two are able to communicate, if you're able to resonate with each other as far as your background or as far as your values, that's the most important part of the situation. I would say look forward to becoming a part of a bigger community, because a lot of in my various experiences, I see a lot of trans women have the family they're born to, but they also strongly embrace their found family as well. And that's something coming from a cis hetero background that people might not readily embrace, but it goes deeper. It harkens back to, I would say, roots from our African diaspora of
A village.
a village, an extended community. And I definitely look for, I would definitely say that you would look forward to that. Samaya has sisters from all over, including Tori, brothers like Sebastian, mothers, several, aunties, brother. It goes over, and I've been deepened by the experience of being able to be welcomed into these circles, and I'm just a better person for it, I would say.
Thank you, thank you. And as we get into our closing, I also saw Lulu wanted to know how they could be a part of this show. And you can email me at tori.cooper@hrc.org, or you can inbox the Human Rights Campaign. They know how to get in touch with me. But as we close out, those were all powerful words, and I believe them all. I believe them all. There are times when I wish that people would just understand loving a trans person is just loving a person who happens to be trans.
Exactly.
It's just
Tori, really fast, can we give our little word? We're supposed to do an inspirational word too for a couple.
Yes.
I want to really fast close out by saying to any couples under the sound of my voice, or any particularly for anybody that may be entering or thinking about entering a relationship, the world, all of the things you go through in the world, that should be hard. But being in a relationship should not be hard. I want to say that because I want to hold space that we sometimes as a community can put ourselves in relationships and around people and things that are not healthy. And when we talk about violence, when we talk about some of the disenfranchisement in our community, I want to really, really remind us that we have to protect our neck, our space, and our energy. And I want to just put that golden nugget out there that love, real love, and I am a witness of someone 12 years in it, it should not hurt. It may sting sometimes, but it should not hurt.
It should not. And love isn't just a thing. It is also something that you do. It's a noun as well as a verb. And
yes,
that's really
a contract that you have to negotiate.
That's what it is. It's a contract, baby. It's saying, I'm going to take care of you. And in turn, you're going to take care of me. All right. So thank you all for being here. As we close out today, we certainly want to thank every single person that was a part of this Instagram Live today. On my screen, I have this order. I have Samaya, Tierre, Brandy, Cy, Sebastian. And so please, as we leave, please tell folks how they get in touch with you. And I want to warn people, these are two tiger couples. Don't go in their inbox with some mess.
Well,
they can, but they gonna get straight.
I'm equipped to handle whatever comes, but
we are gonna laugh at you.
Don't do it. All right, tell folks what you're working on, because I know we have at least one business owner, Brandy. So tell folks what you're working on and how they can get in touch with you, because they might want to book you for something.
Well, I'll go ahead and go since you spoke. My name is Samaya Turner. I am the lioness on the ones and twos, giving all of y'all the blues. I'm based here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you would like to reach me, it's at ATL Lioness. And that is on Facebook. You can reach me at Samaya Turner, and you can reach me at Samaya Turner at yahoo.com. Again, that is Samaya Turner at yahoo.com.
I'm Tierre Turner, and I work for her.
And that is that.
Right.
Boom.
You can reach me at TKT Sphinx on IG. That's good enough.
Yeah.
I'll go first. Okay. Hi again. My name is Brandy Smith. You can reach me through DM on Facebook. I do have a business for customized tumblers. Tori has one of my tumblers. And I do rolling trays and personalized gifts. I also do invitations, wedding invitations. Yes. What does it say, Tori? Protect Black trans women. Yes.
Protect Black trans women.
Yes.
And she can personalize it to your taste.
Absolutely. So you can reach me for business through my business website. So my website is apgraphics.com. My email is apgraphics@gmail. That's apgrapx@gmail.com. And Sebastian, go ahead. That's it. That's all I got.
I work for her. No, I do.
Can't take my line, brother.
You know, right? So I'm Sebastian again. Sebastian Smith. I am as I mentioned earlier, the organizing director at the National Center for Trans Equality. You can find me at smith@transequality.org. For all of my trans folks and non-binary folks that are watching us today, right now, I need you to go and visit ustranssurvey.org. Again, that's ustranssurvey.org. Pledge to take the US Trans Survey today. This survey is going to be huge. It's going to be groundbreaking, and it's time to update the data for trans lives, for what's happened between 2015 and now, to include the pandemic. There's been so much. We have seen so much folks targeting our babies, our trans youth in legislation. This survey is going to help us, arm us with the data that we need to go and fight for our youth and for trans adults as well. So please, please, please go check out ustranssurvey.org. Pledge to take the survey. The survey will be live May 16th. Come on, trans community, y'all. Let's bust this out. Let's get some groundbreaking data. It's time to update the record. It's time for folks to have their voices be heard. So that's what's going on in my world now. So thank you so much, Tori.
That's great. No, thank you all. I really appreciate that. And my last word before we close today, because they've said everything that really needs to be said, but HRC pays my bills. So I'm going to make sure to drop you off with a couple of nuggets. We want you to check out our website at hrc.org. And please feel free to check out hrc.im/dismantling violence to take a look at the fatal violence report that we do annually. Take a look at some of the numbers, and also really to recognize folks that we have recognized as having lost their lives, trans and non-binary people, to fatal violence. We want to recognize them in death and honor the lives that they lived. We also encourage you to check out hrc.org/resources. There's a myriad of different resources for LGBTQIA+ folks, and more specifically for this conversation for trans folks. We're hrc.org, also /resources. /understanding the transgender community is also a wealth of information for you as well. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to talking to you again for our next Trans Talk, which may be this month. Otherwise, it's going to be next month. Thank you all for joining in. Have an amazing day. And thank you all for sharing a little bit of love with the audience, and also sharing your love with us all.
Take care, everybody.